Question 8 asks us to explain the biochemical properties of a muscle fiber and how they relate to a type 2 muscle fiber. The first of the biochemical properties I'm going to explain is the oxidative capacity of the muscle fiber. The oxidative capacity is just the muscle fiber's ability to use oxygen. And for type 2 muscle fibers, they have a pretty low oxidative capacity. This is because type 2 muscle fibers are primarily anaerobic fibers that do most of their work in anaerobic situations. So situations that do not require us to use oxygen to elicit the muscle contraction, like swinging a baseball bat or running a 100-meter track race. Those are going to be pretty short events or activities that don't require oxygen to be used for ATP resynthesis. The next biochemical property that I'm going to talk about is the type of ATPase that is found on the myosin head. So all of the myosin filaments on all of our bodies have heads that connect to the actin filament to allow that connect to it and then drag the actin filament towards the midline or the M line, and that allows for muscle contraction. And the ATP ACE on the myosin head is the rate limiting determinant in how fast we can establish that contraction of that fiber, release it, and establish that contraction again. And that's all due to how quickly ATPase can form ATP, be used in the contraction, and then reform ATP. This is important for type 2 muscle fibers because type 2 muscle fibers are the faster of the muscle fibers, and the ATPase moving quickly has a lot to do with the influence on how quickly that muscle fiber can move, and also on whether it is a type 1 versus type 2 versus type 2A or type 2X muscle fiber. And the third biochemical property of muscle fiber is the amount of contractile proteins that are in the muscle fiber. Contractile proteins are the actin and myosin that I mentioned earlier, and the amount of actin and myosin that are in the muscle fiber increases the size of the muscle fiber, and this really just has to do with the strength of contraction. So because increased surface area of a muscle fiber also leads to an increase of strength of contraction of that muscle fiber. So having more contractile proteins allows for the muscle fiber to be bigger, have more surface area, and be able to contract with more and elicit more power. It relates to both type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers pretty evenly.